Week 5, Reaching Your Players.
Dragons, thank you so much for last week. Game leaders, that was your first time running a station. You stepped up, and I know it might have been difficult, and truthfully, I expect it to be exhausting and difficult because it's your first time doing it. It's only going to get easier to the weeks to come, and in this week's video, I'm going to kind of give you some tips to make it easier going forward, okay? So I know that was a hard week. Thank you so much for doing it. It's only going to get easier. Coaches, this whole season we have been reactionary, listening to the health guidelines and everything like that. Thank you for coming along with us for this roller coaster ride. These 4 stations that were set up, this is what we hope to do for U4, U6 going forward, along with those game leader supports you see. So thank you for taking your team through them, supporting them, and then of course teaching them at those stations as well and staying engaged the whole time. So for this week, what I'm trying to do is lay out the responsibilities of everyone, so coaches and game leaders, and then also give you some tips on how to make sure that these exercises and stations are successes. So how do you teach U4 to U6 well? So I'm going to go through that straight away. So I'll start off with coaches. So when you arrive, if you could straight away set up your 2 mini nets and set cones around to make a small field, that would be perfect. It gives your team sort of a home base, and then also it lets us run into the second half scrimmage much quicker. Green game leaders, green jerseys. So if you are done setting up your station, if you want to help coaches as well, that's ideal because at that point you can solicit that team to start at your session when the night gets rolling. On top of that, coaches, you're rotating through these stations, which again is being explained by the game leader, but you're the coach, so please help your players understand as well, repeat it as necessary, and encourage them as much as the game leader is, okay? We need your help for these games to succeed. Everything is brand new to these kids. Soccer is brand new, and now we're teaching them 4 games in 20 minutes as they rotate to 4 different stations, right? So we need everybody on board in order for this to be a success. Game leaders. So a few tips hopefully to make this upcoming week run smoother. The first thing, if you could just spend 10 minutes reading through all the materials for this week. It should only take you 10 minutes, and it gives your brain sort of a chance to think ahead, plan ahead a bit about, okay, what will it be like if I run this station, this station, this station, or this station? You are by no means obligated to do this, so you are right if you're like, oh, that sounds like extra work. If you put in that 10 minutes, those 2 hours that you're showing up for the field are going to go so much better. And after all, it's all about the kids. You're taking this job because you're good with kids or you're passionate about soccer, and we're marrying those ideas. If you can just spend 2 hours if you can spend 10 minutes looking over the material, those 2 hours are going to go much better. The alternative is you show up unprepared and you have a miserable 2 hours because you're not ready, and it's difficult to think on the spot how you're going to teach something, okay? So prepare. And for this week, I've deliberately broken down everything from explanations to even simplifying games to their most bare bones forms just to ensure that it's successful, okay? So please give them a read beforehand, let the ideas sink in, and that way you will be much more confident come the nights that you're at the field. Upon arrival, yes, of course, help set up stations, the coaches help them set up pitches, and then once you've done that, you're recruiting one of those teams to your area. And then of course, when you're running stations, this is a huge tip that I only thought of come Friday, but those coaches that you have are absolutely exceptional. Use them, involve them, ask them for help, guide them, and coaches, you can return the favor as well. So game leaders are teaching and running the station, but coaches are in charge of the team, right? So please work together as much as possible to make sure the players are getting out as much as they can from each of those stations. Okay, so this gets us to the tips and tricks this week for U4, U6. And I'm just going to sort of give you some advice on how I'd go about teaching these games to players. This week, the theme, of course, is Animal World. So we got 4 fun games around an animal theme. And this week, no different than last week, the games are pretty bare-boned and should be familiar. As we get on to the further weeks, I have a lot of fun ideas, but of course, the more fun we get and unfamiliar we get, the more demanding it is for our game leaders and coaches. So we're starting off with ideas that hopefully you know, because the more comfortable and confident you are, the easier it is for you to teach it. So I've renamed all the games and rethemed them, but it really is British Bulldog, musical chairs, and Monkey in the Middle. Those are really the 3 games that you have. And then of course a stretching zone, which is also trivia this week. Yahoo! Trivia! We're learning! But yeah, so that's done deliberately, just so that you can get comfortable with the materials. The more out there I go, the more difficult it is for the people instructing it, because suddenly you have to engage more in learning and making sure you understand it. Okay, so all I'm going to do is on your tips page here, the week 5 tips page, I'm going to read off these points and then I'm going to sort of run through an exercise and demonstrate how I'd go about using those points. So to reach the players at this age, when you're giving an explanation, a monologue is very difficult for them to stay focused on. It's very, very difficult. So as much as possible, you want to involve them. A simple way, if I were to explain gazelles, aka British bulldogs, I would say we are cheetahs and gazelles. Does anybody know what a cheetah is? And just have them lift their hand and just show that motion, and immediately you'll see some hands come up, and immediately eyes that were maybe drifting will start, oh, what's going on here? And that's just a simple way to pull the attention back, okay? And then of course keep it brief. I've given examples on how I explain all these games, and I do it with theme in about 4 sentences. You really only tell them what okay, so then point 2, focus on 1 or 2 main points and give clear direction. So you really only focus on what they need to know. And I've also broken these games down deliberately so that you can progress them, so that they start off simple basically, so that all the kids can really grasp the idea, and then you build on it round after round after round, okay? And you can spend as long as you want at the easiest round, or never even get to the hardest round, or you can even skip the first round if you notice, okay, that's been a bit too easy for groups in the past, okay? So you have flexibility there. So focus on 1 or 2 main points and give clear direction. What I mean by that is you're saying those 4 sentences, but there's certainly 1 or 2 things that you want to stick. So going back to gazelles, aka British bulldog, what you're trying to do is make it to the other end of the field, or all the way where those cones are, without me catching you, okay? So you want to run, make it to that side of the field without me catching you, okay? That is the main thing I need them to grasp. And for level 1, there's no dribbling or anything like that. If you get tagged, you have to do 5 jumping jacks, and right there I'd say, who knows how to do a jumping jack? Everyone, let's do 5, and then do it with them, right? You're involving them immediately. It's more engaging. Again, players who are looking around, they're forced to look up because something's happening. What's going on? So you do those 5 jumping jacks, and that should be good enough for you to get them up and running, okay? So that's what I mean by keep it brief, and that's also what I mean by focusing on what do they need to know. They need to know they have to get to the other side, and they need to know that if they get tagged, it's 5 jumping jacks. That's all they need to know for the first round. The theme, again, it's important, and so that's why I go longer than just those 2 bullet points, right? You get to sort of develop the theme both as the game runs, but also in the intro. Then finally, stay vocal and encourage good behavior. The hardest thing to do is when something isn't going well, it's discouraging. It's discouraging, and so the natural reaction is to get a little bit down on yourself or maybe overwhelmed, and all of those lead to shutting down. If you go quiet, it's the worst thing that can happen basically. As a game leader or a coach, if you shut down vocally, like if your mouth shuts down, if you stop making noise, the players, the energy's just gone. So no matter how things are going, the default is always to just keep talking, keep encouraging. If you're having trouble with the group or having trouble with one player, that's fine. It really is fine to be having trouble with the group. If I have trouble with the group, what I do is I look for people, anybody with their eyes up, and I point to them and I get them involved doing the correct exercise that we want to be doing. Okay? And the best part is if their players see their peers doing it, they're going to start doing it as well. So if you can't get the whole group, that's fine. Shrink it down. Who's paying attention? You, and you. We're going to run to the other side. Are we ready? Let's go. And if I tag you, what do? 5 jumping jacks, right? So that's just how you do it. You shrink it. Players see it done correctly, then they're going to start doing it correctly, okay? So just whatever you do not stop talking, okay? Stay vocal. And then on point number 2, I say focus on 1 or 2 main points. So that's for the explanation, and give clear directions. So 2 examples would be, okay, so what we're going to do is run to the other side. So then players, I'll get you to line up, okay? So players will go line up. If you do it like that, where the players are like, does he mean right now? There's a more direct way, and with kids, if they know for certain what you want from them, you make your expectation clear, they're gonna try and meet it. So rather than saying players will line up, and just kind of them being like, does he mean right now? Am I bringing the ball? What you do is you make as much eye contact as you can, say, okay guys, right now, follow me, we're coming to this line, everybody follow me, and that's just how you do it. It's very clear, the direction, it's follow me, you're repeating it, and they know you want it right now. That's how you do it. That is direct, clear instruction. And if you can give clear, direct instruction, the kids, the kids want to obey it. Yeah, there's exhaustion, right? If they're tired, it's difficult for them to handle that. But if they know what you're expecting of you, if they know what you're expecting of them, they're gonna try and give that to you. That's just the way they are. That's why kids are so special. Okay, right. And then as a last resort, as always, you can strip down the exercise and simplify it. So if things aren't working, that's 100% a last resort. And what I've tried to do this week is give you the most stripped down version that you can build on. So hopefully that is enough to go on. As you read through these, you will see the simplified versions. I guess I can take you through them really quick. So chameleons, again, think musical chairs, okay? So all you're doing is players are dribbling around in a box dribble. So free box dribble. If you know this player's not dribbling, go and give their ball a kick and say, hey, keep dribbling, you know, otherwise I'm going to come kick that ball away, right? So just keep them moving. And then I have a song, you can sing it, you can chant it. Chameleons keep changing. What color are they gonna be? And then you call out a color of one of the pylons, and then all the players have to run to their own pylon of that. Once they get the hang of it, give them a soccer ball and go again. And then once they get the hang of that, we do it so that there aren't enough pylons for the number of players. And then anybody who's off comes and joins you and helps you sing, and just make that as fun as possible. Don't make it feel like they're out. Make it more feel like you're part of the singing crew now, and you're going to help me pick colors that you're going to make the people run through. And then again, so that players aren't not in the dribble for too long, basically remove enough pylons so it's only like 2, at most 3 rounds long. Okay, so you're moving at least 2 pylons, maybe 3, maybe even 4, just to get the game down to 1 player within 3 rounds, and that way you can have everybody go back in and try again. So that is chameleons. All these exercises, by the way, I give tips and tricks, pointers you can point out as the game goes on, but also I give fillers. What's a filler, Andrew? If you notice things are dragging, it's just something else you can do to make sure that players are having fun. So it's kind of like a neighboring idea or a slight spin on the similar idea, just in case you're at like the 4-minute mark and you're like, do I run it again? That's an idea of something else you can kind of do to fill a small portion of your section. Super monkey, again, it's keep away. So here it's going to be probably 9 against 1 monkey. So for the first round, I recommend that the game leader goes in, because you get to choose how fast you run, and I don't know how well these players at 4-6 are going to be at passing. So that's all you're doing. So you're running around sort of in a slow-mo chase, and you're saying pass, 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 and then, you know, you're asking the coach to encourage them to pass as well. The coach can even be one of the people keeping the ball away from you, so that maybe they give you a bit of a challenge as well. But that's kind of how that works. And then again, come level 2, suddenly you can put in a real monkey in the middle. So take one of the players and they'll actually be chasing. See how that goes. If the players passing do well enough, what you can do is give the monkey in the middle superpowers, which is kind of fun. They either get to add a second soccer ball, and again, if they kick either one away, congrats. Or they can pull another monkey into the middle to help them chase. So I got to see the fitness last time, and it looked very, very exhausting. This station for this week, so you're doing stretches, and keep in mind that the players, if they've been using these, will probably have done stretches the past 3 weeks. So this is a great opportunity to go around and solicit stretching ideas from kids. And again, they might not give you a perfect answer. They might not say, we're going to move our arms in a windmill, but they might just start wiggling their arms. And if they do, you say, arms, that's a great idea, and then take over. And then you go to windmill, or you do the hug, whatever it is for arms, right? So see if you can solicit ideas from players, because that's very fun and important for them. This section is meant to be winding down this week, because the other 3 are running pretty hard. And then what I want actually this week, so for a discussion, you can ask them about their pets, but there's trivia questions, and you're trying to have them guess animals. So just to run one through you, what animal has a long nose called a trunk that it uses to pick things up? And again, you would do this trivia once you've done the stretches. Just have players sit, but you'll stay standing just to make sure you're keeping them engaged, okay? So what animal has a long nose called a trunk that it uses to pick things up? See if any players raise their hand or have any guesses. If they yell it out, you can choose how you run it. If they don't get it, give more hints. It has big ears, and it's very big and very, very heavy. It's very big and very heavy. Still no guesses. You can act out the animal. This is always the thing I recommend doing before giving the answer, because, again, verbal understanding is very, very low at this age. So it's hard to sort of imagine these hints, but if you're acting out something with a big, trunk and you're crawling on the ground like a elephant, then it becomes easier for them to really piece the clues together. And that's it. It's just a little trivia game that helps teach them about animals, and it gives them a break from all the running we're doing in the other sections. All right, so that's it for this week. I'll see you all on the field. Thanks.